Oh, okay. So about 6 years ago, just over, on the 17th of October 2013, I used to live in the Blue Mountains, and that day I was driving out to uni on a very hot spring windy day, and as I was reversing out of that driveway, I did not realise that that would be the last time that I'd be seeing my house as it was. Later that day in the afternoon, I got a call after a lecture that had my brother on the other end, telling us that he was evacuating from our place along with mum, dad, and his brother, the dogs, and that they would be going to my cousin's place at a nearby suburb in Blaxland. We lived at Winmalee at the time, and that was those big bushfires where over 200 homes were lost that day. Yeah, the damage was pretty significant. As I said, over 200 homes, including ours, were lost that day. Thankfully, no lives were lost, so it was a great miracle that happened. At the time, even Tony Abbott, who was Prime Minister at the time, who was also a volunteer fiery, was involved there, it was an interesting time for the mountains. Not the type of attention we want to get because things are lost, but at the same time it showed a lot of community bonding, which was the good part of all the bad that was happening at the time, and how everyone was willing to come together and help another neighbor out, and that was the cool thing. So despite the huge scale of damage that happened just in that day, that afternoon and evening, it was still really cool to see the community come together the way it did. Okay, well, that morning there were some fires in Lithgow, and by the time I was warned and I was down about half an hour away from home, I got notice a couple hours before I found out the house was burning. But realistically, it was about 45 minutes to an hour's notice before the fire reached our place and hit our house. So it was a good enough amount of warning time to evacuate, but not really enough if we really wanted to make a actual plan. So yeah, that's, I guess it was enough just to keep lives saved, which was great. Unfortunately, I was nowhere near my house when it happened, but the rest of my family managed to evacuate quickly enough to just grab certain things that were needed and to my cousin's place 15 minutes down the hill. A couple things that my family took were my brothers took their video games and their video game consoles, their computers. Mum saved a few keepsakes, family heirlooms, and photos. For some reason, my parents saved some of my football jerseys and some of my football gear, but they didn't have to. It would have been replaced. They did forget to rescue my violin, which was 71 years old at the time, but that was actually saved by the fireys later on. So the violin survived that fire too, which is pretty cool. Six years on, I'm not too fazed by it. You get things back. Even within the space of 2 years, we managed to just buy new things that we lost. The things of sentimental value we managed to save from the fire as we were evacuating, like old photos of our childhood and things like that, which was pretty cool. So it's stuff like that that you cherish. Other things like clothes and gadgets, toys, these things can be either upgraded or replaced. So yeah, always get those things that have some sort of sentimental value for sure. Yeah. Well, if you have anything that is irreplaceable to a certain level, definitely keep it in an area that your family would know where it is in case of going away from the fire, because we never really even thought about the possibility of a bushfire happening, even though we lived in the Blue Mountains, right? So now what I would do, I'd probably have like everything I want to keep, like certain books or things like that, photos, memories, including my high school jumper or high school certificate which I lost, or awards. Keep them in a container that's ready to take with you, or in a zone that can just be packed really quickly, so that your family can get it or you can get it yourself. That's what I would probably do next time. And anything that is replaceable, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But yeah, things of sentimental value, just like what my mum did. She had all these photos in a box ready to carry out. And that's probably what you want. Another thing you'd probably want to do is any insurance documents you have in your household, keep them in a safe place where you could take it with you as well. Because we were fortunate enough that the part that did have those insurance documents actually had no timber around it. So even though it got smoked up a little bit, the documents were still there for our insurance, and it made things a lot more bearable. So anything that you would, anyone you would contact after a bushfire, and including insurance companies or emergency services, to prove your identity and proof of residence and things like that, keep that in the place that you would take your photos and stuff with you, because those are usually the first steps you want to take to make those claims, to start your first steps of getting back on your feet again. So that's probably what I would do, yeah. Thank you for listening to my story. And I wish you all the best in your projects about studying about natural disasters. It's always interesting when I retell the story. Some memories come back and things like that. So whatever you're doing, once again, I wish you all the best. My name is Daniel J. Gello, and I wish you have a good day. Take care.